My name's David Peters Corbett. I work at the Courtauld Institute of Art, which is in London, and I am the Professor of American Art there, and I also direct the Centre for American Art. And I'm delighted to be here today in front of one of the Terra's great examples of Ashcan School painting, this George Bellows, the Palisades. Well, one of the things about this painting is that it is an example, one of the best examples actually, of Bellows' extreme canniness as a manager of his own career. So the year before this, in 1908, Bellows had had an enormous success with a painting called North River. North River describes the part of the Hudson that flows between the top of Manhattan Island and New Jersey. And in 1908, Bellows painted a North River which did extraordinarily well. It got a prize from the National Academy of Design, and that picture is now in the Pennsylvania Academy of Fine Arts. And it had been so successful that I think Bellows, who actually always was very astute at knowing how to manage his career, and astute too at knowing really what his audience and potential audiences might go for, and who had no problem at all about trying to develop his art so that he succeeded financially, in prestige, and in other ways. Bellows, I think, in 1909 then produces a whole group of snow scenes, some of which feature the river. And the Terra example, the Palisades, is one of the most important of those. In this picture, Bellows, in effect, rotates the 1908 North River, moves it around, so that some of the elements in this picture are the elements that you see a year before in North River. So on the right-hand side of the canvas, you've got these trees coming up, very heavily worked by the end of the brush. Takes a brush, reverses it, and begins to incise in very thick, highly impastoed paint. He starts to describe the brushes of these two trees just there in the right-hand side, placed against the billowing smoke from the railroad engine, which you might be able to see just towards the river in the composition. The warehouse, the pier, the tugs, many of these things appear in the previous work. So he's riffing on it. He likes to do this. He does it very, very effectively. And he's an intuitive and energetic painter. He likes to take possibilities, the potential of one painting, move it, experiment with it, push it further into other paintings. And this is a great example. That rotation that happens from North River produces a different composition, a different set of perspectives, and a different set of possibilities. So what we've got here in one way is Bellows just driving forward with something that's already proven to be successful. It's his moment of real success, and he's really canny enough and intelligent enough, both as a practical painter in front of a canvas and as a career manager, to really capitalize on that. So he really sets out in the Palisades to make an impact. North River, in the year before, had made a huge impact on its viewers. He wants to make just as big an impact, but of course he has to do it in a different way. So you have this lushness, right? This cultivation of the idea of paint as a substance that almost emerges from the canvas and solicits you. It's a seduction. And that's particularly, I think, one of the things that he finds so compelling about snow. He says later on, I can't let a year go by without painting snow. So he's giving you sets of pleasures, visual pleasures that are of considerable intensity here. And he knows that by doing that, he captures the intention of his audiences and really drags them into the painting. The other thing that he does that I just want to draw attention to is that he works very subtly, actually, in some ways, and in surprising ways with differentials of scale. If you look at this painting, the relationship of scale between foreground, middle ground, background, between each of the individual items, objects in the painting, such as the park benches. There are at least two, and possibly, if you count the one on the right that appears to be sliding down into the snow, 3 park benches here. And you try and map that onto a true sense of scale, you're going to go quite badly wrong, actually. And the foreground in relation to the middle ground and the edge of the river, the shore of the river, is very hard to understand if you're trying to see it as a true three-dimensional space. So this is Riverside Park, which runs between 72nd and 158th Street on the west side of Manhattan Island. It starts when Central Park is still working, and it runs right up almost as far as Columbia University. It looks across the Hudson, or as he thought about it, the North River, to the Palisades, the cliffs that define the New Jersey shore. People don't realize, I think, because Bellows is associated so much with paintings of the city, the Ashcan moment, that sort of gritty urban realism, they don't realize that the majority of his work is landscape. He goes to Monhegan Island off the coast of Maine. He goes to Woodstock. He lives in Woodstock. And a lot of his painting, much of his painting, is actually involved with the reconsideration of that tradition in the early 20th century. And this moment that is both about the city and about the natural and about the landscape is a demonstration or a key moment in that as well.